Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you all for those who are returning. Just want to appreciate you. And for those who are coming for the first time, please do subscribe, hit the notification bell so that when I post, you'll be the first person to know. And my name is Patrick Tawaya Matope, and on this channel, I do deliver content on social work and anything to do with social care sector. And I just want to put a disclaimer to say I don't consider myself to be a guru in social work, but information I share on this channel is from my own self-directed learning and from my own personal experiences, really. And I hope the main purpose is that I share information and others learn from it, or it provokes some sort of like conversation, and I can also learn a thing or two from whoever is watching these videos, really. And in today's video, I'm just going to be talking to you about challenges faced by parents whose children are removed by the courts, basically, or removed from their care. Challenges faced by parents whose children are removed from their care. um, you know First and foremost, I think the most important thing to mention when it comes to this topic is that there are numerous challenges that these parents do face right off the bat when trying, obviously, to cope with losing their children, first and foremost. And secondly, when they're also trying to regain custody of their children. Because some of them may have lost these children within the courts, but they may make some attempts to gain custody of their children back into their care. So it's the odds will be staked against them to prove to the courts that they've made the necessary changes, and they now want the children to be back in their care. And from experience, I think it has been easy for parents, especially where children are under special guardianship, to come back into their care as compared to where a full care order has been issued. Because once a full care order has been issued, the stakes are quite high, or it's not going to be easy for the parents to be gaining those children back into their custody again. But I'm not saying it can happen. It does happen. I've seen it happening a few times in my profession. But I think from memory, I know very well that for those who are placed under special guardianship order, because they are placed with a family member, it's easier for the parent to go back to court and prove to the court that they've made the necessary changes in terms of the concerns which were raised when the children were removed from their care, as compared to a situation where the children are actually placed in care. Because sometimes, depending on the age of the child, once they are placed in care on a full care order, the next thing is they might actually be adopted. And remember, when a full care order is issued, and the care plan is for that child to be adopted, then we are looking at permanency for that particular child, and that could be actually the best care plan for that particular child. So yeah, there are many challenges that these parents do face, really. And right off the bat, I'm just going to talk about about 6 of them in this video. The first one is emotional and psychological challenges. I'm talking about grief, I'm talking about loss. The same way people would feel when they lose a child or when the child dies, it's the same way when they lose their child because they've been removed from their care. Because in most cases, that child may never come back into their care again. So it's basically the same, really. It can cause so much profound feelings, of grief and loss, and also stress and anxiety. Those are some of the things that they will also, go through. The legal process itself is quite long. Remember, 26 weeks is a very long period of time. Sometimes it stretches more than that, depending with sometimes expert witnesses or expert assessors may not necessarily be available to offer the expertise to the court within the 26-week time scale. So the legal process itself, the uncertainty within the proceedings about the future, can also lead to high level of stress and anxiety for the parents. And not talking about stigma and shame. They may feel ashamed that they've lost their children. They may feel they may actually be stigmatized in the communities where they come from, or from the families that they come from, to say, what is it that you can tell us? You have actually lost your children. Nobody can actually trust them even to babysit children and all that. So there are many things that these parents also go through, which can actually affect not only their self-esteem but their self-worth as well. So it's really, really, really important for us to be mindful about that. that. So when you talk about emotional and psychological challenges, I'm talking about grief, loss, I'm talking about stress and anxiety, I'm also talking about stigma, and shame that they will also suffer, right? That's point number one. Point number two, let's move on to the practical challenges that they face when children are removed. First and foremost is the issue of navigating the legal system in England or Wales. In most cases, it's not an easy system to navigate. We know that when a local authority is going to court with specific parents, they are entitled to legal aid, but even though they are entitled to legal aid, it's not easy for them to navigate the legal system. It's not easy for the parents to understand the legal implications of some of the actions that they might be taking, even though they may be having a legal representative in their corner as well. So it can be quite overwhelming on its own. So it's not really about them understanding the legal process, but also they might find the whole process quite overwhelming, and they might find it quite cumbersome as well. Quite straining on themselves as well, and even meeting the requirements of court, coming to court now and again, hearing some of the things, some of the testimonies in court, hearing some of the witness statements from some of the expert assessors, supporting the court in regards to that. It's not easy for the parents, and for them to comply with those court ordered assessments or requirements, such as attending parenting classes, attending substance misuse classes as well. It can be challenging for parents, especially where they are kind of strained in terms of financial resources. So I always encourage parents to say, speak to a social worker, speak to their social worker manager, so that they may be able to support you. Say, for example, you've got a commitment of attending parenting classes 2 times a week, but you don't have the money to be taking the bus and stuff like that. So open up and talk about what's going on. If you've got friends and family who can support you as well, open up and talk about that, so that you can actually get the support that you need. Because at the end of the day, those are the yardstick that you are measured with, whether you're able to comply, whether you're able to engage with those support services and make the changes that are required. And if you don't do that, then you don't stand a chance for that child to remain in your care, basically. And not talking about the financial strain, I think I spoke about the financial strain already. Sometimes there could be costs associated with obtaining stable housing, obtaining even employment in some cases, because when children are taken away from you as a couple, sometimes it puts a strain on their relationship. Sometimes they can go separate ways, and then somebody has to look for accommodation. Maybe they might become homeless and all those kind of things. And remember also the scenario which will be in place, where sometimes a couple is given housing on the basis that they are taking care of children, and once those children are taken away from them, their basis of claiming that housing may not necessarily be in place. So some may actually find themselves homeless at some point. So it's about opening up and seeing what support is out there. If you need to go to citizen advice, go to citizen advice. If you need to have a conversation with the social worker allocated to your children, have a conversation with that social worker, and see to it that you get the support that you need, basically. So that's challenge number two in terms of the practical challenges. And then there are also what we call social challenges. Here we are talking about isolation, which these parents do suffer. I spoke about earlier on lack of trust. Nobody trusts them even to babysit their own children. They may feel isolated from their communities. They may feel isolated from their family members, from their support networks, which can put a strain on their own mental health as well. Which can also put some feelings of loneliness, helplessness, and all that. So it's important for us to be mindful of that as well. Relationship strain, I spoke about the relationship strain, where sometimes they may even end up separating because of losing children and stuff like that, which puts a strain on their relationship, in terms of partners, family members, and all that. And once that happens, maybe they are told you can't live here anymore, and all those kind of things. There's a lot that can actually happen as well. There are also what we call systemic challenges, talking about the bureaucratic delays that may come with proceedings. Remember, we spoke about the 26-week time frame in terms of proceedings, but sometimes it may be outside of that 26 window period, and sometimes they might even lose their job in the process if they're working 0-hour contracts. Remember, there are 0-hour contracts. Some parents may not necessarily have the time to be actually attending court each and every day, and by them not attending and trying to gain some income, they may be viewed in another light as well, to say, they are not giving this, the seriousness it deserves and all that. So there's a lot of judgmental attitudes, thrown left, right, and center, which may also, be at play when it comes to such situations, really. The inconsistent support that can also be in place, because remember, you could be getting support because the children are in your care, but once the children are in foster care, the support that may come to you may actually be dwindling. So it's about voicing your concerns and talking about the support that you still need, even though the children are not in your care, because you are trying to address these concerns. And at some point, you are also looking at possibly advocating for the children to come back into care. So it's about making sure that you have consistent support, but you have to advocate for that to actually happen and for it to be also in place. And which ways can we overcome some of these challenges? I spoke about seeking support. It's important for you to engage, with the support that you've been signposted to by the social worker or by the courts, and also important to engage within support groups that you've been signposted to, and also think about organizations which can also offer you some emotional support as well as practical assistance. I spoke about Citizens Advice Bureau. I spoke about, your local mind, organization, or your local mental health support group, which is, local to you, or your local substance, misuse, support group, which is local to you. So make sure that you seek support in also try to address some of those concerns which are being outlined, by the local authority or by the trust which is taking your children to court, basically. Seek legal advice. You'll be entitled to legal advice. So seek legal advice where things are not clear. Talk to your solicitor. Let your solicitor advocate on your behalf within the court about things that you think are not clear in terms of what is going on for you and for your children as well. Stay committed to the process. It's really, really important for you to stay committed to the process as well. Why do I say this? You actually need to be demonstrating your commitment in meeting these court requirements, because that's the only way you can prove to court that you're actually able to be addressing some of these concerns. It's good. It's one thing for you to say, I'm going to be addressing these concerns, but you can't even stick to attending court. You can't even stick to what is expected of you within the court proceedings. So you need to be staying, you actually need to stay committed to the whole process and make the positive changes that are expected of you. That's quite important as well. And also try to build a support network. There are, groups even on Facebook or, other platforms where you can actually link up with other families or with other parents who may necessarily be in the same circumstances like you, and reconnect with family members as well. Try to connect with friends and family and make sure that you get the support that you need. Work on your mental health, seek advice from your GP, get, assistance from any community resource services that you can think of as well. And, by addressing some of these challenges, you might stand a better chance actually, towards the end of the proceedings. By those few words, I hope I have addressed this question. One of my viewers actually asked in terms of the challenges faced by parents whose children have been removed from their care. This list is not exhaustive. If you've got things that you think you may have gone through when it happened to you, or things that you may have observed as a social worker with families that we've worked with, please put your comments in the comment section. Don't put any names. Please try to anonymize whatever you are sharing, and be kind, be nice, because these comments may be read by other people who may not necessarily catch on in terms of some of the comments which may be negative that you may put there. But with those few words, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have actually enjoyed today's topic. And if you have any specific topic that you want me to tackle on, please put your comments in the comment section. And thank you so much. Bye bye.